Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are joining us from. We are here today with the folks from Zomentum, and we've got Jeff, I guess I'm going to say this right, Bogaerts, and I know your
Yes.
name, Ben Spector. So Jeff is actually, Jeff, you created a project, a product called Goulash, if I'm not mistaken, to reconcile billing and license issues for MSPs, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. And well, I'm excited to learn more about it. But before I do, I want to ask where's everyone from? So, Jeff, where are you from?
I live in Belgium, that is Europe.
Okay. Okay. What is the temperature in Belgium right now?
I think today it is almost freezing.
Okay. Okay.
Very, very cold over here.
Well, it is unseasonably cold here in South Carolina. We're actually looking at getting another snow event, possibly. So we're kind of excited. It hasn't snowed here other than last weekend in like 8 years. So kind of interesting. It's usually unseasonably warm here in South Carolina, hot and humid. So, well, Mr. Ben, if I'm not mistaken, you are in the UK, right?
Yeah, south of the UK in London. I was going to say it's cold here, but compared to what you guys are experiencing, I think it's positively warm. I think we're at about seven degrees Celsius. That is, I don't know what that is in American numbers.
Gotcha. Yeah, I always have a hard time converting Fahrenheit to Celsius, but it works. Okay. Well, so how did Zomentum come across Goulash?
Well, I guess it's probably one for me to answer. I was actually a Goulash customer for about the last 3 years.
Oh,
I've
okay.
since the acquisition, I've learned that I think I was customer number 7 in Jeff's arsenal. So I had
Okay.
quite a close working relationship with Jeff and his number one developer, Stephen, providing feedback on what was at the time a very novice product. You know, in those early days, it didn't do anywhere near what it does today. So it holds quite a special place in my heart. Yeah, I've been using Goulash, or I was using Goulash for about 3 years to actually solve that billing reconciliation problem. At the time, no one else was doing anything to try and solve it. You know, as an MSP, you probably work with somewhere between 10, 20, maybe even 30 different vendors. Each of those vendors of licenses is sending you bills. And you've somehow got to make sure that you're billing all of those out to your customers, usually
Right.
through a PSA like Autotask. So Goulash very elegantly connects between any vendor or distributor and your PSA to make sure every license you're being billed for actually gets billed onwards to your end customers.
And prior to using Goulash, how big of a problem was that for you, Ben? How often did you see that happen?
Well, there's a couple of ways to look at it. There's a cost and there's a time. You know, I think most MSPs that you can either be reconciling these things once a month. You know, most MSPs, they're going to be doing their billing run maybe every month, either the beginning of the month or the end of the month. So in order to do that, they're probably going to try and reconcile the licenses then. Realistically, you know, if it's going to take 5 hours perhaps to reconcile, are you going to do that every month, or does it become a quarterly or 6 monthly activity?
Uh,
So we were generally doing it maybe every 6 months. And if we look at the maths on it, if you're missing one Microsoft 365 business premium license on one customer for 6 months, you're looking at about $150 lost.
sure.
Multiply that out across 10 or 20 vendors across 50 or 100 customers. And without realizing it, that one license on each of your customers, that's 50 times $150 over 6 months. Maybe you've got one license from Microsoft, but also you're missing an Acronis license and you're missing a Datto license on each of those customers for 6 months across 50 customers. You know, the leakage there can be thousands and thousands of dollars.
Sure.
So you can either look at it in the financial terms or the time terms to take, you know, that it would take to reconcile. And Goulash completely solves that because it ensures that as soon as the licensing changes with one of your vendors or distributors, it's immediately updated in the PSA.
Gotcha. And what PSAs do you currently integrate with the Goulash platform?
Currently, we are integrated with Autotask PSA, but we have also ConnectWise is coming in the next 2 months. Hello PSA, Synchro MSP. So we are working on that. In the past, it was going slow, but now with the new team coming on board, I think we get a lot of new features in the next couple of months.
Well, I'm not so strong on the development side, so forgive me if I ask this question and it seems a little odd, but what about like the API? Do you have an API that would integrate with the like universal API kind of thing?
So maybe I will first do a little introduction also why we started with Goulash. There's also the same story as with Ben. So I started a long time ago an MSP, and I'm also an MSP owner, and also the same way as for Ben. In that time, I was losing money every month. I had several licenses not billed to my customers: the antivirus license, backup, Microsoft, and so on. For me, it was a manual job to check the licenses and do the billing reconciliation, and it was so time consuming. For me, it was taking 3 days work a month, checking every contract, every agreement to see is everything built.
Sure.
And it was also an error was easily made. If you forget to bill, you lose money and you're losing profit. Also, you get unhappy customers if their bill is incorrect, and that's also an important one. So what I did in that time, somewhere in 2017, after attending different IT events and talking with a lot of MSPs, I learned that a lot of MSPs are having the same issues. So, and on that moment, there wasn't a solution that fit my needs. So on that moment, I decided to build my own solution. So I started Goulash to solve the problems for me, for my MSP in that time, and for other MSPs. That's also maybe the reason we are connecting stuff with each other. We are connecting vendors with Goulash, and from Goulash we go to Autotask or to ConnectWise. And sometimes I get the question, okay, the name Goulash. Why have you then chosen the name Goulash? And in Europe, it is an Hungarian dish. It is a food where you mix a lot of things together. In our case, we will mix and take information from vendors and distributors, and we bring it into one system. And some tasty thing is coming out, and we push it into the PSA provider. So that is a little bit the reason behind the name Goulash. And
so
also the reason
it's pronounced just like the Hungarian dish, goulash.
Yes, it is the same as the Hungarian dish. Only in our case, it is with the double O, Goulash.
Gotcha. Okay, very interesting. I like the name.
Yeah,
I bet it ranks pretty good with SEO when you're looking at Goulash.
That's also the second reason. Goulash with double O, it doesn't exist. So if one search for our integration, for our solution, if they search on the internet, they always come on our websites. So, and I have all the domain names also. That was the second thing also.
Great.
Well,
I guess in terms of that roadmap question then, so as of today, we've got Autotask. We've started working on ConnectWise and Halo PSA, because Halo is one that we're also bringing to the main Zomentum platform as well. Obviously, benefits for Jeff of the acquisition is he goes from an enormous development team of one to a slightly large to a slightly larger development team of around 100 that we've got at Zomentum. So we'll be really powering forward with the platform and doing a lot of work very quickly.
So how exactly does the product, and maybe this is how exactly does Goulash solve the billing issues after it's integrated?
So I guess if we look at the workflow for most MSPs,
Right.
If you look at your typical PSA, Autotask and ConnectWise, in Autotask they're called contracts, in ConnectWise they're called agreements. And on those contracts or agreements, you have the services that get billed out monthly. So in Autotask and ConnectWise, you've got a contract called Acronis backup, for example. And on that contract, you've got the server license, you've got 20 desktop licenses, and you've got 20 Microsoft 365 licenses. So what Goulash is going to do is it's going to connect directly between Acronis or whoever you're buying those licenses from and Autotask, so that if one of your technicians increases the number of desktop backup licenses by 2, so you go from 20 to 22, and maybe at the same time they increase the 365 backup licenses from 20 to 21, Goulash is going to see those changes over on the Acronis side and make sure that the Autotask or ConnectWise agreement or contract is incremented in the same way. So that next month, when you do your billing out of Autotask, it already knows that there are 22 of those licenses instead of 20. And obviously before Goulash, there's no mechanism to connect those two things. So if the technician increases the number of licenses on the vendor platform, either they don't have the permissions to go and edit contracts. Do you really want your level 1 technicians editing contracts in your PSA? No. Or they don't remember to. Is there some procedure they're supposed to follow? In my MSP, because we were relatively small, I trusted most of my engineers to be able to make those changes. So it wasn't that they weren't allowed to go and increment the contract in Autotask. It's that usually they forgot. They're on the phone, customers shouting at them, or not shouting at them, but, putting pressure on them to get something done quickly. They've got a stack of tickets to work on, and those administrative tasks really easily fall through the cracks. So, when we talk about over that 6-month period until we next reconcile, one of the technicians, they forgot to add an Acronis license today. Another technician forgets to add a 365 license tomorrow. Every day these changes are being made, but who's keeping up with those changes?
And like you said, if the technician, the level 1 technician, fails to notify whoever does the billing in the MSP's office, then it's costing the MSP, and they're not able to recoup those charges back from the client. So, no, I think that's really
imagine going
platform.
back to your client 6 months down the line and saying, "Sorry, we
forgot to bill
messed
you
up with the billing. So here's a supplementary invoice for those licenses." You can't. The client would absolutely and quite rightly flip their lid. So you have to swallow those costs.
Yep. And those costs can add up big time. So, why? Well, this is kind of a question to Jeff. Why did you decide to get out of doing it yourself and team up with Zomentum? What was it that Zomentum brought to the table for you?
Yes, that's a good question, but in fact, Ben is the reason for that.
Okay.
That I'm now working for Zomentum.
Awesome. Well, good answer.
Obviously, I've known Jeff for quite a while as being one of his earliest customers. I guess most of the people watching this probably know that I sold my MSP about a year ago to join Zomentum's product team. To bring that lived experience of the pain of trying to sell IT services to small businesses to the Zomentum roadmap. So when, one of the things we're working on quite big at Zomentum at the moment is a SaaS solutions marketplace. And in order to really make that solutions marketplace successful, we recognize that we have to be able to integrate directly from the licensing into the PSA. We had to be able to solve that problem.
Sure.
And so I was having conversations with the CTO about it, and he said, well, we can build technology to do that. It'll probably take 2 or 3 years, but we can build technology to do that. And I said, Rahil, we need this technology like tomorrow. We don't have, we can't launch the marketplace without the reconciliation technology, because there's no motivation to change from your legacy distributor who doesn't have it to the Zomentum distribution channel. So I introduced Shruti, the CEO, to Jeff, in the hope that maybe we could do some kind of partnership. I'd never imagined that her approach would just be, well, why don't we just acquire them? So
yes,
that's excellent.
Yes, so So after the first call with Shruti, we had an instant click. We had the same ideas, same vision. We have also the same vision, the same customer. So where Zomentum is the sales revenue platform, we are the logical next step after the sales, after when you do all the sales part. We are syncing and billing all the licenses. So when I was talking with Shruti, it moved from working together as a partner. We moved to how can we be part of the Zomentum family? And so because we had so many similarities. So now I can work on Goulash with the help of a large team of Zomentum of engineers. And
so that really helped you out too.
Yes, and very important. Maybe one of the more things that now I can do the things that I like to do. I'm still a tech guy. I'm a former MSP owner. I work with technology. And in the past, in Goulash, I was doing a lot of everything: sales, marketing, administration. And now with the Zomentum team, I can focus on the technical stuff. I can talk with our customers to see what they need, work on customer support, work with developers. So today's happening what I want to happen. So because of that, I'm so excited to work for Zomentum or with Zomentum.
Well, congratulations, job well done. So what would this is kind of to Jeff and to Ben. How would you say that the Goulash product, when integrated with Zomentum, how does it differentiate from the competitors?
Jeff, do you want to go first?
So with Zomentum, of my plan with Goulash was building the #1 billing reconciliation ecosystem for IT partners worldwide. We have a lot of technology in place, connecting with all MSP-related vendors, Acronis, Microsoft, being distributor independent, and working together with Zomentum, we bring everything in one system. So you only need to use Zomentum. You can use it for the sales part, for the billing part, for everything comes into one place.
So everything in one single pane of glass. I like it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, did you want to add anything to that, Ben?
Yeah, I guess from my perspective, I'd quite happily go on the record to say there aren't really any competitors for what the combined vision does. There are quoting tools out there. There are CRM tools out there. There are some newly springing up tools that are trying to solve similar problems to what Goulash does on its own. What Zomentum and Goulash together bring is that end-to-end solution that enables you to, using Zomentum's QBR and assessments functionality, you can identify the problems your clients have. Then with the marketplace, you can identify the solutions to those problems. Then with the quoting and the sales platform, you can put those solutions onto proposals and get them signed off. Then once they've been signed off, we can integrate with the payments and get them paid. Then we can provision them. Then we can reconcile the billing, and then it's off to the PSA to do the management part of the job. So I think the value to me is that it helps to close that loop between identifying the problems all the way through to reconciling the billing for the solutions.
Well, this may be kind of a repetitive question, but what kind of integrations does Goulash offer the Zomentum platform?
So today we are connected with Microsoft, and for the Microsoft integration, we are the only one today that connects direct with Microsoft. So we take the information from the partner portal and update it in Autotask or in ConnectWise without involving a local distributor. And because of that, we have customers worldwide, so everyone can use our solution. And it's the same with Google integration, the Google Workspace. So we are trying to connect direct with our vendors. Some distributors, they have direct connections with or integrations with Autotask, but we focus on the antivirus providers such as Webroot. We are connected with an API, Sophos, F-Secure we are working on. So all the MSPs that we all the vendors that we use as an MSP, they are on the roadmap that we can connect them in one system.
Very good.
And the beauty of that is, people change distributors. They get upset with Pax8, they move to Ingram. They get upset with Ingram, they move to Tech Data. People are moving around distributors.
Sure.
But that doesn't really happen so much with the vendors. So if we're connecting directly with the vendors, it doesn't actually matter who you're buying the licenses from. And if you transition those relationships over time, we're still able to reconcile the services. With Microsoft 365, especially with the NCE, the new commerce experience that I think a lot of people in the ITBOG group seem to be getting disproportionately upset about, to say the least. There's a lot of strong emotions flying around about the NCE. But the beauty of integrating directly with Microsoft is it doesn't really matter what the contracts with the distributors look like. You might even, for one customer, you might even be buying 5 of their licenses from X, 5 of them from Y, and 5 of them from Z. Goulash just sees 15 licenses. It's not interested where they come from. It's just going to reconcile the licenses like for like into the PSA.
So how scalable is Goulash when you're talking about, an MSP and they're trying to scale their own MSP business? Will Goulash scale with their business?
Yes, of course. So everything is built is running on Azure Cloud. Everything is built with the latest technology. So, and if we are managing, if there's a new MSP coming on board of 100, we can scale it out. So that's not a problem. It is also running for more than 3 years. So we are pretty sure that we can handle it.
Are there any new features for Goulash on the horizon that are not released yet that are on your roadmap?
I think the important one is Microsoft NCE. A lot of MSPs are waiting for that. NCE is complex technology. We have a nice solution for that. So somewhere in the next month, we will release it. Other vendor integrations where we are working on is besides Acron's CyberCloud, the backup solution. We are working on SolarWinds, DF-Secure, Ninja RMM. So all the tools that you see in the MSP world, they are on the roadmap. Some are on the short roadmap, such as SolarWinds. But we are doing a lot of work in the backend. On the other side, we are also working to connect with ConnectWise. There we have the plan to release our integration somewhere in March.
Excellent.
So a lot of things to do.
Great. Well, what does it cost the MSP to become a partner?
If you want to start using Goulash, it is free for the for the very small customers. We have a free plan, and then from the moment you will grow as an MSP, we grow with you. So we have a launch plan starting from $49, where you can connect your customers, your Autotask or your ConnectWise customers, and we manage for you then X amount of contracts, X amount of vendors.
Okay.
The system is built a free tier. Everyone can use it, test it. You get also a reporting engine with that. So everything what is happening in the backend, everything is automated. So in the end, our app, the Goulash app, you don't need to access it every day to check if there's something happening in the backend. We have reporting in place. If there's a change, we send a report. This is happening for you. Just click the link in the mail and we can update the contract, or we approve the new vendor or the new customer. So that is something that we have in the free plan, and in every plan we have more accounts that we can connect or more vendors that we can integrate.
So
but in the end,
I was going to ask you about the free plan, because initially I was going to ask you, did you offer a free trial? But if you've got a free plan, a free level, what are the differences between the free and the next step? What would it cost to jump to I think you said what, 49? to jump to the next step, the paid step. But what is the difference there? What brings the cost in?
So in the free plan, you can connect 3 customers, your 3 end customers, and use 1 integration.
Okay.
And all the features for the rest, you have it. What you see is what you get. In the launch plan, you get an extra integration to connect, and you have 10 customers included.
Okay.
And for every customer that we need to add in the launch plan, we ask $3 per customer. So in the end, we manage your contract for $3. So if we do a profit calculation, in the end, it doesn't cost you any money.
Sure.
In the end, it will save you a lot of time and unbilled licenses. So your profits will increase if you start using the Goulash app.
Okay.
It's a cost negative tool. How many people can say that?
Yes.
Not a lot. That's great. That's great. Well, I am excited to see it. Are we going to get a demo today?
Yes, if you yes, of course. I will share my screen.
Okay.
It might be worth just saying, I think on all the sort of figures, pricing and stuff Jeff was mentioning, as usual, we've put up a special promo for ITBOG users, Zomentum.com/ITBOG. You've even got your own dedicated landing page. So there's 20% off any of the main Zomentum platform, as well as 20% off any of the Goulash licensing.
That's excellent. Wow. Thank you for that. I'm sure our members will appreciate it.
Also on our website on Zomentum.com, we have the profit calculator. So if you go to the SaaS license page and go and click down to the profit calculator, you can see it by yourself. If for example, if you are managing 50 customers, and for the 50 customers you are managing four vendors. So
okay,
that is not very much. You have an antivirus provider, you have your Microsoft licenses, you have a backup and other things. If you need to do it manually, it costs you more than a day work, day and a half. And with Goulash, in the end, it will save you a lot of work. And if you see here the calculation, you will save $300 every month with using Goulash in this case. And
wow.
So if you grow and you have more customers to manage, then you have a lot of saving. In my case, in the past, in my own MSP, I had an increase of profits I had €1,000 unbilled licenses every month because I was forgotten. I did a mistake, and now with using Goulash, our profits are increasing just using one tool and let it run in the back end. It does everything, it checks everything.
Because I think you don't even need to be selling more. This doesn't come down to marketing and sales and closing deals. You don't need to sell anymore. You just need to make sure you're actually billing for everything you've already sold.
That's right.
And I think that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. So when I talk with the MSPs and I did that the last years a lot of times, I think every MSP has the same problem, is losing money, and I don't think if I say that we can increase 10 to 20% more profits on your licenses just to automate it. So there's a lot of low-hanging fruit just to automate everything and let the system work.
Sure.
So a small introduction in the application. What you now see is in sandbox with not real customers. So all the names that you see it are not real customers. So what do we do with Goulash? On the one side, we connect with a vendor with Microsoft or with Google or with Acronis, and in the other side, we connect it with the PSA of
PSA.
that you are using. In this demo environment, we are connected with Autotask, PSA, and we have a direct connection with Microsoft. So what we are doing, and I will open a Microsoft contract. every day, 6 times a day, we connect with Microsoft and we take all the tenants' information from Microsoft and we put it into Goulash. In this overview, you see all your tenants that you are on as an MSP are managing. And for example, if you open this one, this customer, we know this customer, they have 8 Microsoft 365 Business Standard licenses and 8 Office 365 Advanced Threat Protections. So we know that. So someone needs to, in the old days, someone needs to create a contract in AutoTask and change the quantity, change the amount of licenses.
Okay.
But when there is a change coming, when a technician buys a license, someone needs to adapt the contract. But with Goulash, the only thing what you need to do is you need to connect the Microsoft tenant with your AutoTask environment. Okay, this is already connected, so I take a different one. For example, this one. We only need to do is a lookup in AutoTask. You select your AutoTask customer. Now, this is the first magic that is happening. We see all the contracts that we have in place for this customer, and we can choose: do we start with a new contract, or take we over an existing contract and we just adapt the quantity, the amount of licenses in sync. So this is important because a lot of MSPs, all their contracts are already in place.
Mm-hmm.
We come in the picture. And we come in the picture as a sort of set and forget applications and keep your workflow. So we do everything in behind, just select the existing contract and we sync the information. In this case, I will start with a new contract. And in this case, we fill in the contract title, the start date, the billing cycle that we need to enter as an MSP, and the start date that we enable or activate the contract. If that is done, we have just an overview. Okay, it is happening, and save the changes. So now we created the contract in AutoTask, and from now on, every change that's coming from Microsoft or from other vendors that are connected, we sync on that day the information to AutoTask. So every license is in sync. Every license is pro rata in sync, and we never lose any money anymore.
Which prevents the technician from forgetting or
yes,
something
indeed.
like that.
Yes, that is the king. That is everything. So the technician can activate his license, do the technical stuff, and we come in the picture and we do all the rest. We do all the administrative part of the contract management. But it is not the only thing that we do in contract management. As an MSP, you want to do something more as an MSP. You are selling licenses, but you are also selling labor, or you're combining services in a different product. So when I go back to this customer, where is the customer? Over here. This customer.
There seems to be a recurring theme with these customer names in the demo environment.
Yes.
Beer Rodriguez, Beer
yes.
PLC.
Yeah, okay, beer. Everyone drinks sometimes a beer, so okay. The information that you will see, we also, because we are in control of the contracts, you don't need to use AutoTask anymore to manage your contracts or using ConnectWise in the agreements part. We are in control. So if you want to do some funny things, you can do it over here. So for example, as an MSP, you want to build an MSP package, your labor, your licenses in one service. So with the AutoTask overrides, and we have the same for ConnectWise, we can adjust a different service and we can apply a service bundle, which includes maybe a labor package, the antivirus, something extra, based on this amount of licenses, because we know this company, they have 8 licenses, so they have 8 mailboxes in place, and we need to manage 8 end users. And with this, we can combine other stuff also. So if we are combining the invoice in one contract, we can sync and we can say, okay, this license, the security license, it is included in the contract, or it is free. Maybe we want to give something free to our MSP. So every edge case that we have, we can configure it over here. But most of the MSPs, they are managing Microsoft, but they are also managing other vendors. So we have an API connections with Acronis, CyberCloud, with Sophos, Webroot, okay. Backup data, the data SaaS protection. So we try to connect with every important customer vendor worldwide. We have for some MSPs, we have a custom-made PowerShell script that takes the information from Veeam backup and put it in Goulash. So the technicians are just handling everything in the Veeam backup console, and we take the information and push it further into the next in the correct Autotask contract.
And I assume that the vendor list is constantly growing.
Yes, there is indeed. It is growing every week, and now with the new team, yes, a lot of new vendors will come.
Congrats.
The two priorities: more vendors and more PSAs.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's what we need for this. Yeah. More vendors and more PSAs.
Yeah. Maybe two things to show, because some MSPs, they are mixing up all their contracts, all their customers' information in one contract. So what we are doing, and that's very unique in the space, we can combine different vendors in the same contract, that you only need to manage one customer's contract in the end. So for the customer Beer PLC, you see it over here, we have an Autotask connected contract, and it is combined with license information that is coming from backup, from data SaaS protection, from data RMM, and from other vendors. So we can combine, we can adapt our system into the workflow how you are working as an MSP. So we are working on the APIs. It is important, but besides the APIs, you have also the possibility to import your own data, your own custom data into Goulash, so that we also can take over that part of the problem of solving that part of the license management. It is based on a CSV file or an Excel file, and in the end, it is still a manual job to upload it every month into Goulash, into the website. So in the end, you only need to send an email to a unique email address based on some backend information, and we do everything for you. Send an email with the CSV information, maybe coming from your vendor or from your distributor, to the unique email address. We update all the contracts in the backend.
Very nice.
And it is the same for consumption. If you are using Azure Cloud, Voice over IP, Azure, it costs you a lot of time to manage that. You have a long list of services that you need to build. So with our integration, download the CSV or the Excel file, put it in Goulash. We do all the magic. We calculate the margin, we update the contract, and you can send the invoice to the end customer. It saves you a lot of time with using that.
So MSPs like automation, so
yes. So we are trying to automate everything what we see. So we have the APIs in place. We have the custom of the manual import in place, but sometimes we don't have an Excel file. Sometimes we don't have an API, and for that we have created a browser plugin that we also can take information from other websites. For example, Exclaimer, Dio.com, LastPass for MSP. They don't have really very good. They don't have good APIs. So we created a browser plugin. Take also that information, we convert it, and we update the Autotask contract or the ConnectWise agreement in the end.
Very nice.
So that was a very small, fast demo. Maybe the current vendors connected with an API are Altaro VM backup, Bitdefender, Datto RMM, Ninja RMM, Sophos, and Webfruits. Acronis is coming in next week. SolarWinds is coming. So also maybe something interesting for us. If there are vendors that you want, let it know that we can put it on the list. And if we have enough requests for that vendor, then we will build an API in the end.
Okay. Excellent.
Okay.
Did you want to have a look at the consumption billing as well, Jeff? Because that's quite an interesting one, I think.
Yeah.
But obviously, license is only one part of the problem.
Yeah.
If you're looking at telecom services or Azure services, for example, you probably also have some kind of consumption billing. With telecoms, maybe there's international call charges, those overage minutes. For Azure billing, maybe you're paying per gigabyte for storage, or you're paying for compute units or something like that. So we also need the ability to be able to reconcile with what you're being billed in consumption with the PSA as well, to make sure that all of those international calls are being onward charged correctly to your customers.
Yes, indeed. So we consumption data from Azure or from voice over IP. It is the same way we can import it with a generic import, or we connect with an API. It is then in a different context. In our case, consumption data. It is a charge. What is the difference between a license? A license is something that we can update every day. So every day, all your contacts are in sync. Billing information, you only want to bill at the end of the month. You can't bill every day the same bill, the same invoice to your end customer. Then you will have a very unhappy customer. So what we are doing, we import the billing information into Goulash, and this is an example connected with the customer. We have a default markup that we configure for the contract, but based on line level information, we can do overrides. For example, we have a virtual machine. Okay, on that virtual machine, we will increase the margin, or we will decrease something, or we ignore something. So we have everything in control to build the consumption into the contract of the end customer.
Okay.
But also, what is maybe something to know, it is a new thing. If you are billing voice over IP consumption or Azure consumption, it is a bill every month. It is changing. It is fluctuating. What some customers doesn't want is a fluctuating bill, because then they will call the MSP. Why is my bill different? Why is my invoice different? And then you need to explain it. It's because today we have more services running on Azure, and yesterday we did a backup. So we have a fluctuating invoice. So what we are doing with Goulash, and it will be released in the next months, is you set a fixed service on a contract. So you bill your Azure consumption or your voice over IP consumption, for example, $100 every month. We import the billing information from your voice over IP provider, and we will check the margins. If the margin is still okay, nothing will happen. We will update everything and everything's running in the backend. But if your margin is decreasing, then we will send you a report to the MSP telling to you, your margin is too low on this contract. You need to inform your customer to change the contract in the end. So we have a lot of things coming on the reporting part, on automating everything for the consumption, but also for the license management. So
I love the reports.
Yes, it is. The report is I think very important. You only need to watch to see one email a day, saying what is happening. You can see the new customers coming in. Are they connected or not? Is there a problem with? Just push one link. You go into Goulash. You adapt what you need to adapt, and you are ready to go.
Sounds great. Well, MSPs love reports. I know I do.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. I think I have an example here. This is just a screenshot. So this is a monthly report. So we know for this customer, there was a decrease of licenses. Maybe it is not correct, but you have an overview of everything in one email. You then push the link, you go into contact, and you can see if you need to change something. Also, if there's a contract not connected, you will see it over here. Or if there's something strange going on, everything is in this report.
Very nice.
So this was a small demo. Any questions, Scott?
No, I think you outlined everything very well. I was looking to see if we had any questions in the chat, and I don't see anything just yet. So we'll have to stay focused on this Facebook post later, and hopefully we'll have some members watch it and have a couple questions for us. So
yeah, okay.
If anyone's got any questions, both Jeff and I are members of the group, so feel free to tag us, Jeff Bogaerts or Ben Spector. We'll jump right in and give you a suitably sarcastic response.
Yes, indeed.
That sounds great. Well, Jeff, do me one more favor. Can you share your screen once more? And just go to that link, and we'll end it and leave it on that link with zomentum.com/ITBOG.
Where is my screen?
Should be just in front of you, Jeff.
There you go.
Okay, and the link that we need is
Zomentum.com.
.com/ITBOG.
Yep.
/ITBOG.
Wonderful.
There you go. We were going to get Jeff to replicate the pose, but it seems like he didn't have time to do it.
Is that
Next
a
time you see
dab?
this page, it'll have one of us.
Is that a Zomentum dab?
I'm not sure what it is. I think it's some awful stock photography someone found at some point. Man pointing into air.
There you go. Awesome. Well, listen, thank y'all so much for your time. And I hope that y'all enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes.
Thanks, Scott. Always a pleasure.
Thanks. Always a pleasure. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Jeff.
Bye.
See you.